Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles of Bust number 296, and today we're doing battle with Soul Cleave Fearsomes. And so, Soul Cleave, the hot excitement out of the 4-1 patch, the new card coming at us that everyone was ready to come out and brew around. And everyone had great ideas, a lot of exciting decks coming out of that. We played a few on our channel here as well, but only two of the decks have really kind of remained in the format. There is the Anivia deck looking to use Soul Cleave, which I think is garbage. And then there is the Fearsomes deck that we're going to be bringing in today. And the Fearsomes deck's pretty interesting. It has a lot of interesting combos as far as the Soul Cleave is concerned. Just using the Mist Wraiths as the core, giving all of your future units that +2 attack can be quite strong, especially as we have the better targets with things like Wraithcaller. And so the first and foremost idea that you're going to be using with the Soul Cleave is leveling up those various Mist Wraiths. But that's not really enough to warrant playing the card. And so there are a few other reasonable and interesting targets for the Soul Cleave here. Frenzied Skitterer is quite nice as a means to shrink all of your opponent's units so that they can't block your Fearsomes, and then also boost the Spiders. We have a small Spiders package in the deck here today between the Frenzied Skitterer, the Precious Pet, and the Arachnoid Horror, so you get some minor values there. And then last but not least, you can actually come in and target Nocturne. If Nocturne didn't do his job as soon as he came down on the board, you can find yourself Soul Cleaving Nocturne. That's going to put 2 copies of him into play. That'll give your opponent's units a -1 attack. The first one doesn't bring it down, but the second one does. And then if you play another unit after the fact, giving all of your opposing units -2 attack, should be enough to stop them from blocking any of your units. Some of the kind of oddities and differences you'll find in our deck as compared to the other one, the big one is being Legionary Charge. If you're familiar with playing Rumble, Rumble Vayne takes great advantage of Legionary Charge. It knows that 100% of the time it's going to be drawing Rumble. In our deck here today, it fits a lot of the same role in that it can only search up Nocturne. And so we're looking to take a little bit of advantage there. And then the biggest boom that we have, of course, is going to be the Harrowing. And so I do really like these decks that can take advantage of the Harrowing as we find ourselves in these metas to where there's not a lot of AoE removal, but there are a lot of control decks. Having access to the Harrowing is pretty strong in the sense that if you can drain your opponent down almost out of cards, and then swing right back with a full board of units that probably can't be blocked. And so lots of interesting ideas and concepts in the deck. I actually look at this as being more of along the lines of a kind of aggro combo deck, if you will. And so this isn't just the pure aggro deck, right? We're definitely going to be doing a lot of attacking, and we're definitely looking to build up some board, but you do have to kind of keep in mind that you do have these options to protect your units by shrinking the opposing boards and then getting in with those fearsome attacks. And so there's always going to be some kind of interesting things between the Soul Cleaves and the Spiders, the Soul Cleaves and the Mist Wraiths, the Soul Cleaves and Nocturne, and then best using Nocturne and the Spiders to shrink the opposing units so that we can still continue to attack. Last but not least, the final card we'll talk about before we jump into battle is Kalista, our secondary champion here, or our primary champion, as she does typically come onto the board much more often and relevantly than Nocturne, as that she does, of course, play quite nice with Soul Cleave. A single Soul Cleave is enough to flip a Kalista. Since you kill off the one unit, you get the 2 ephemerals out of the deal, and then when those ephemerals die in combat or blocking or whatever you intended to do with them, that should be the 3 units that you need to get Kalista to flip. And then she can do the classic expedition combos of recalling Wraithcallers, but there's also other great units in here, being just a Mist Wraith to provide a little bit more support on the board, or Frenzied Skitterer to again shrink the opposing board. And so, pretty good stuff. I dig it. I hope you do too, because this is what we're going to do battle with today. But you know what we got to do before we jump to battle? We got to pay the pay-to-win price. And this really surprised me. I thought, oh, it didn't surprise me. This was the problem. This is what the deal was. I went through this deck and I was like, okay, well, we're playing the Soul Cleave deck. We got to just go premium Soul Cleave. And I was thinking, I was like, I know we've been down this path before. I know I made the Soul Cleave video and it wasn't here. and so that's leaving us a little bit lacking. But to be a bit of a spoiler, we're going to play this deck in the Runeterra Open. So if you're watching this during the Open, this is what we'll be playing. You can view it tomorrow if you want, but we're going to need to do some paying to win there. And so I do like the Nocturne. We'll get that leveled up tomorrow. We can turn him premium today. We are set. We are ready to go. Man, what a bummer. I remember that. It's been a couple of weeks since the 4.1 patch initially came out. I knew I ran directly into this Soul Cleave problem, and still hasn't been fixed. You know, I guess it's not really fair to say, you know, Riot doesn't want to take my money because we just give them all our money anyways. But I knew that problem had come about. But all right, into the battles, up against Pirates for round 1 here. This can be a fairly tough matchup. A lot of it depends on how the cards fall. If we have these kind of starts with the Phantom Butlers, an opponent can clear out a lot of board with the Make It Rain. That can be problematic. Or if they're able to hit a lot of bigger units, that can cause some problems as well. But I think this is okay. Let's lead off with the Phantom Butler. It's going to deal the most damage here. We don't have one of these big combo draws to where we're like Mist Wraith into Wraith Caller, and so playing a little bit slower unit here strikes me as okay. Get in that extra point of damage. Did I confuse myself? Oh, it's Misfortune Annie. I thought this was Misfortune Twisted Fate. It seems like he's still trying to do the same thing. It seems like he wants to aggro at us. I mean, he's playing Legion Rearguards out here, so we have to assume the amount of aggro that's going to be hitting. And so with this, I'm okay to block with the Phantom Butler. We're getting to the point to where, you know, we're going to have to decide if we want to really come in and prevent the damage or how much we want to swing for in the upcoming turn. And I think that when we're sitting on the Harrowing, we can afford to come out here and just block. And so I think I'm okay with this, with stopping 3 of his units. We're going to take like 3 damage in total, and then we can look to on turn 8 to come at him with the Harrowing. Let's see. Is that how we want to go? I'm also kind of tempted to just hang on to the Mist Wraith, since next turn we can like open with the Risen Mists and chunk in for a big hit of damage. But we need to get to turn 7 for the Harrowing, but the opponent's on the odd attack token, so we can't do it until turn 8. And that might be a little bit too slow. All right, we'll play it slow. It's like if we had a hand that had like a Kalista in it, and we knew that we could come out here and really just grind down what he was doing, I would feel a little bit better, but that's just not what our hand is really leading us to. Or even if we just had a Wraith Caller and knew we could get a 2-for-1 out of it and prevent a bunch of damage. This is what it is. At least the Mist Wraith will deal a bunch of damage here. We've got 3... we've only got 1 Hallowed. I thought we had 3 Halloweds for some reason, given the way that we've traded out here, but I think this will be fine. Now that we did pick up a secondary unit, I'm going to drop down both units here. Just give us maximum blockers for this upcoming turn. So the thing we do have to, you know, be aware of going into the next round is, well, hang on. I think this is okay. I keep thinking that we're going to be able to play the Harrowing next turn, and that's just not the case. That's not how it works. So I think this is good. If he's going to come at us with a Make It Rain, I feel like we would prefer to kill the Battlecaster as opposed to the Legion Grenadier. Just as the Battlecaster, at least to me, represents a lot more damage coming at us, and so I think that's a little bit safer. Bring in the Decimates already. Okay. A little scary, but he's only got 1 card, and so hopefully it's not too much. I don't think we ever get lethals here. If we pick up a Wraith Caller, Maybe we're close, but I don't think the cleave is really on the table. We can use it just for blockers next turn if we want. That's certainly a thing. Looks like we might be needing to. But 5 is a fairly safe place to be. So maybe we'll be okay here. Can't play any more burn this turn, or probably can't play any more burn, I should say. It's no guarantee. All right, Annie flips. We gotta count on the harrowing next turn. I'm not even really convinced that it's gonna be lethal. Trying to think of how many mist wraiths we've lost. This should be the third one, right? And then we've lost one boisterous host and then some arachnoid horrors. Well, with the opponent at 10, I think we're okay. All right, let's find out. Here it comes. Bring in the harrowing. Hopefully we're okay. Again, this is kind of like a... If he has the third decimate, that's an issue, right? He can decimate and then kill us with the Legion Grenadier. He can put the Grenadier blocking our leftmost unit. But, I mean, he would have to have 3. That's a fairly big ask. We are short on this, aren't we? Well, we'll have Kalista for next turn to block Tibbers, but it's not ideal. Oh, and he can't block, though. So he's only blocking 2. 11. Okay. He's gonna need another spell. There you go. Move it around a little bit. See what it feels like after you move all the units. Yeah, it's going to be a make it rain, isn't it? Okay. he pushed a spell out. I'm not sure what that spell would be when he only has 2 mana. Whew. Because he didn't want to have to roll the dice on that one. just call it back. And he can't block. We figured that out at least. When you're running at their 0 attack units, they can't come in and block. Okay, so this one should be pirates. You got the misfortune and twisted fate this time, and so I think that's probably a bit more of an accurate guess as to the deck coming at us. Probably not some kind of control number. That was odd seeing Annie Misfortune though. I guess that's been a deck at some point, but. Caught me off guard for certain.
I have my orders.
A brief engagement, but a joyous one.
All right, ready to block. Get in there. Get that block in front. Oh, he doesn't send. Interesting. So we should be able to pretty safely attack here. We can send in the arachnoid horrors. Interesting. So many Legion Grenadiers. I'm curious if this is just a change in the meta, or if this is just something odd. I haven't seen a Legion Grenadier in like 2 weeks, and then to have 2 games in a row with them, it's kind of striking. All right, though, but on that previous turn, we made the attack. We want to, ideally, if we can trade with the Legion Saboteur when we're attacking, that's a little bit better than getting in front of the Saboteur on this attack here, right? We would prefer the unit to die without getting that attack bonus in. So I think taking down Misfortune's okay. We're not really looking to come out here and grind against this deck, but I feel like 2 turns from now that she's going to be a little bit problematic.
Welcome, one and all, to the Midnight Revel!
It's like if we have to block and trade, it's not awesome, but it's acceptable. If we're just throwing units in front of the Saboteur and having them die to the love tap, then that feels pretty awful. But opponents out of mana here. They're going to be taking 8 off of this attack. He cleaned out our 2 units, but we get a little bit of value out of that Hallowed on the way back. And he's pretty far away from lethal, and we have some pretty scary attacks for the upcoming turn. Feeling pretty good with this. And so at least in this space, you know, I don't really want to be losing Mist Wraiths. We need to keep those for the upcoming turn. We want to keep all of our Fearsomes for this upcoming turn, but blocks with the Onlooker and the Wraithcaller are fine. They're never going to be dealing combat damage here anyways. All right, cool. Let's see if we can end it. He's getting the plunders, but we got the spider for the neg attacks. He says, watch out, Bust. I've played the ultimate defenses. I've got my Jagged Butcher Wall. And we're ready. We're ready for it. Beautiful. You could pull like a heavy metal out of Zap, or that Nox and Fervor, whatever. None of them are particularly scary. We have 4/4/3 for 11. We should definitely be having lethals here. He needs to play like a Mirai Warden and hit a 3-attack unit or something. It's just a real corner case for him to stop this attack from being lethal. All right, GG. Market a W for Bust. And so yeah, in terms of the open tournament, I hope you're out there playing it yourself. You might as well, you know. But we're looking to. I was really wanting to play kind of like Pantheon out here to some degree. I've really been enjoying Pantheon, but I can't really fit it into a lineup that's been making me happy. And so it's like that's been kind of part one of the equation. And then I don't want to be playing kind of like 3 versions of the same deck. I don't want to be playing multiple copies of Legion Rearguard decks, and so that those kind of like come off the table as well. But I still like having these unit-based aggro strategies, and I've decided. I mean, everyone knows we're going to play Sunburn. I'm bringing the brown elites. That was. I made a the previous video was we were playing the pink elites. That was elites with denies in it. We decided to switch over to playing Rite of Negation, and I kept calling it the brown faction. I know it's not brown, it's yellow, but it's just stuck in my head as brown now. So the Shuriman elites, the brown elites, are going to be coming at you, and then this deck here. And so the kind of idea and concept of the lineup is we're not. We're not tied in to any like singular strategy. Again, we're not just playing like triple Legion Rearguard deck and getting potential like domination from opposing archetypes. Like we have a bit of spread in what we're doing. We have kind of like the Rearguard aggro. We have this aggro combo in this, and then we have the more mid-rangey offering in elites. All of those decks have reasonable matchups against Rise, which it seems like a lot of the control-oriented strategies are bringing, and then we're looking to just ban first and foremost the Tristana Atrocity deck, and I think the interesting thing with Tristana Atrocity is you hit a 3-attack unit, must be nice, is that it has that the Shadow Isles Bandle City lineup. And so if you want to then play, say, Nora, you can't play Nora Vagar. You have to switch to playing like Nora Swain or Nora Nar or whatever. And I like that we... the control decks kind of want to be Bandle City Shadow Isles, and to kind of take that away from opponents. Nice. I'm curious to see how much something like Nora Twisted Fate will turn up. This is a curious Shellfolk deck. And... I suspect a lot of the higher ranked players are going to look to bring this stupid thing, and so we'll see if it turns up. We'll see how much it it appears out here, but it's tough to say. So this is tough. I didn't come out and play around the 1 damage AoE. I felt like we were going to be a little bit safer there. This deck doesn't play Make It Rain. It does play heavy metals. And so I didn't think that we needed to play around the 1 damage AoE. Twisted Fate caught us in kind of a bad spot there, but that was the idea with what we were presenting. But picking up the Harrowing's not terrible. We can still hop off a little bit next turn. I think what we're going to have to look to see is, like, if we have 6 mana, the question is, do we want to Legionary Charge right now, right? We get to get that extra point of mana, but then we may not be able to Fearsome the Onlooker. I think we're just going to pass. And then that also leaves us in kind of an interesting space if we pick up a unit worthy of a Soul Cleave. All right, so we'll have to watch out for this sarcophagus. This is pretty threatening for a couple of turns from now, but we'll see. We got a bit of time before that happens, and oh fuck. It's gonna prank out our Harrowings. That's bad. I didn't stop to consider that. Even without the dumbass Shelfolk coming on board, that's gonna be a problem. So we can still throw the Shelfolk in front of Nocturne if he wants to. I think we still have to attack. Well, we can do this one, right? Is that where we want to be? He still levels up this way. Okay. Maybe we should have attacked with the Mist Wraith. I was a little worried. I mean, I didn't want to send the Mist Wraith into the Shelfolk. I forgot we were going to have Halloweds come in. And now we're losing the Onlooker to the Pokey Stick. It's not awesome, but it's not the end of the world. We'll have to sit around for a half hour next turn while he goes through the Shelfolk shenanigans, but we could still have a reasonable chance to pull this off next turn with the Soul Cleave, assuming that Nocturne survives the round. I didn't realize this. With the pranks, you see it can only go to +1 cost. You can't take the cost over 13. Can completely take it out of the game. Interesting. I didn't realize that was a thing. Alright, so how low are we willing to go here? He's played 1 Pokey Stick. I'm not entirely certain how else this deck kills. If he starts to play... It's like, I don't think we can win if our Nocturne's dead. And so I want to keep him back, but I'm not certain the amount of damage that can actually come in on a Nocturne. let me pull this up real quick. Where are you at, Nora? Or if we can find Twisted Fate. Here we go. So what do they commonly play? The Otterpuss spells we don't have to worry about, just Pokey Stick? Okay. If that's the only burn, I feel pretty safe at 3. He shouldn't have any trinket trades at this point, right? Is that a physical spell? He hasn't played on the Conchologist. Okay, I think that's fine. You gotta stop and look it up every once in a while, you know? All right, Twisted Fate stacking the odds. Let's see what we can do. There is a bit of argument to just go ahead and try and play Spider here, but we don't have the mana. We're not going to run into a space next turn to where it's like, even if we draw our most expensive unit next turn, we can still play the Skitterer. So I'm going to add it. Maybe we should have just cleaved with Nocturne. No, do we do more damage? We don't do more damage with the spiders. have a feel we're going to be 1 damage short here. I feel like we're going to lose one of these units. Nocturne's going to come in for 12, and then we're not going to get that last point of damage in. Maybe we shouldn't have blocked last turn with the Mist Wraith. Like, if we just go to 2, that's kind of okay. Right, he's already played 1 Pokey Stick. He hasn't played any Conchologist. Shouldn't have to worry about too much more Pokey Sticks. Twisted Fate's already on the board. And so... It's tough. I'm just not ultra familiar with this deck. It's one of the newer ones to come up, and I hate Curious Showfolk more than anything. I hope it gets rotated out handily. It's just one of these cards to where if... I always talk about it in terms of Jay Medarda, right? If Jay Medarda is in the space he's at right now. Oh, fuck. I keep forgetting about Hallowed as well. We punted this. We could have potentially got it with the Nocturnes. Fuck. We could have came in for 14. I mean, it's not to say he couldn't have had another way out, but that was just a slop fest all over the place. But no, it's like with Jay Medarda, he's completely unplayable until he breaks the format. There's no midpoint for where Jay Medarda is a fun competitive card. He is either complete dog shit or he's just completely warping and breaking the format. And I feel like that's the kind of space that Curious Shellfolk is in. It's the decks right now, like it's taken me the ones in the days of past that didn't go for the Burblefish kill, like I had no idea how they even won the game. And I feel like that's not a good place for your competitive environment to be in. Having players that are in Masters before it was easy to get into Masters, not understanding how a competitive deck actually kills, having played against it a bunch of times. And, you know, that just sounds like a little absurd to me. And, it was the space it's in. I kind of get it now with the Fleet Admiral Shelleys and the Burblefish and everything. It makes a little bit more sense, but I excuse me. I just think it's a deck that shouldn't exist. You can play it in Path of Champions, but it doesn't have business in the competitive landscape. Now here, I have no idea what's going on with opponent. He must have a hand where he's just drawn like 3 Nocturnes or something. Like it's just a very, very awkward draw for the opponent. So we'll have to try and take advantage of this if we can. Probably want to get Nocturne going next round. Like, his attacks here are still booty. We can trade out these Phantom Butlers and not feel too terrible about it. Don't think that's where we want to be, though. There is a valid reason to want to trade for the Mistwraith, because if he gets a second Mistwraith next turn, then it's going to be a problem. What we're looking to do here is to 3-bank and then immediately Nocturne. And so he's going to have a chance to put another Mistwraith on the board. And so if it can block, let's just go ahead and take this one down. We'll get that minor bonus out of the Hallowed for next turn. And then we'll try to get nasty with Nocturne. Definitely got some dudes on board. I'm not sure why I didn't do that before combat. You have the opportunity to attack with these Wraith Callers that you've just lost. Well, all right. Let's see what we can do. I think we messed this up. We have this secondary Nocturne in hand, so it's not a complete disaster to have his units trading out for our Nocturne. We could have put the Nocturne hook into Boisterous Host and then hooked the host onto Nocturne so he wouldn't die here. But I think it'll be okay coming into the next turn being able to just play the second one. Everything's gonna die. It's all gone. So we'll see how this shakes out. He's done a lot of his high-powered stuff already, right? It's very tough for him to get relevant units on the board at this point. We'll switch it up. We can add in the Wraithcaller, then next turn we can Nocturne Skitterer. We won't get the Nightfall, we won't get the hooks in, but we'll get to neg to attack his whole team. See if he's got that defensive harrowing coming at us. But yeah, I would have liked this a lot more if we had just hooked in the Boisterous Host. Could have put it in front of Nocturne. Now on this turn, we would have the two opportunities to drop Skitterers down. Not sure why he burst him in. Into Host. Oh, his Nocturne's not flipped, though. Alright, well, here come the units. It's like you're not getting any blocks. A little sloppy, but you know what they say. It's sometimes better lucky than good. a little BLTG, you know? A little better lucky than good. Get him. Alright. Move it on. And so one of the things I do like about this deck, especially taking it into the open tournament, is I always like to be asking the questions. It's a concept coming out of Magic. You have control decks that are trying to answer the questions, and so the aggro deck is asking the questions, and then the control deck is trying to present the answer. And that's whether or not that's removal spells or good blockers or life gain, whatever. They're trying to be the solution to the problem that you're presenting. And I like decks like this one in the sense that you're the one always, really coming out and asking the questions. It doesn't have too many of these draws as to where it's like turn 3 and you don't have any units to play, right? Or it's turn 4 and you have to decide on how you play through a massive overbank or something. Those things don't happen with this kind of deck, as you would see with some of the slower decks of the format, the control decky numbers of the day. And so I like it in that sense that we're the ones bringing the heat out, if you will. But very reasonable spider start. Not anything coming from Evelyn Viego here. Let's see if he drops a Sultur or if he drops a Vile Feast or something. But as we were saying, he's not he's not presenting too many answers to the questions we've got here. All right, Kamaver and Soldier coming in. Sure. If it comes in and blocks Kalista and then garners another spell, that's okay. Value blocks are okay. Trade's okay. I'm happy with all of this, the way this is going. Hate Spike's a little meh, but I think this is all okay. Kalista is getting real close to flipping. We'll have to see if she's got that capability here. Then he just can't attack, right? It's pretty tempting to just pass and see if we can't throw down a Risen Mists. I don't
see what's inside.
How do we feel about that? Because where it puts us in the next turn is it gives us that potential to still just like open with the Risen Mists and play Nocturne, but I don't think we need to be doing that. The Kalista is going to fall as the next turn rolls around. All right, she'll be 0 attack, and we get the chance. Oh, he's still just bringing it. Okay. Well, I'll take the flip. Very interesting to me. That was the last way that I expected. the last way I expected that we would get a flip. Okay.
Back on the prowl.
All right, so Evelyn's not going to be doing much blocking here. Send in the squad. Should bring out another. Oh, brings out a spider. Starting to think that we had the Phantom Butlers. Gonna bring a vengeance on us? Sure. Very expensive. Very expensive. So we'll see what we can do. He hasn't hit Challenger on these plays, but he has hit Elusive. And so he's got an opportunity here to hit us for a bunch of elusive damage, especially now that he just hit Viego, and then kill us with Atrocity next turn. So don't have any way around this. I think we need to just go ahead. No, Nocturne's not Nightfallen yet. I've seen the border around him. That's not what we need. So if we play the Skitterer, this would be 7 plus 4, 11 damage. Okay. I'm on board with that. Make it a little bit more challenging to get that Atrocity kill. Not impossible, sure, but make it a little more challenging. I wonder if we ever just get him with the Legionary charge. I think we want. I mean, do we even want to bother playing it first? It's like if we Legionary charge, we can Nocturne. But his units are just too big at this point, right? Like Evelyn's only going to fall to a 3 this round. Viego will fall to like a 6. All right. I guess the other thing to note with this is, assuming Nocturne doesn't die this turn, if we could take him to 1, we can get him with that Unspeakable Horror. Nocturne flips into Unspeakable Horror, so we got a shot there as well. Let's see. He's already played 1 Camaveran Soldier. That's the scarier play coming out of this turn. Giving him 2 blockers. If he's just matching us up 1 for 1, we still have a bit of opportunity to punch in. Yep. Must be nice. Must be nice. It looks like we're only going to be able to get 1 unit in. He's got more cards as well. Interesting. He goes to 6. Or takes 6. I guess I'm eyeballing that. I'm eyeballing that Unspeakable Horror that we can't actually play. All right, so that's done. The Camaveran Soldier was the game ender. I think that was literally the only card that could have got him out of that situation. Like, maybe a unit plus a Hate Spike would have done it, but that seems kind of suspect. But the all right. Next battle, though. Big EO shenanigans over with the next one. Nobody wants to play now. They're all afraid of the fearsomes. There we go. Somebody's been found. Right. Or mirror match time. I'm curious about Elise. I mean, we do have that minor spiders package that's rolling through the deck, and so having access to Elise isn't terrible. You know, she gives you a nice value unit on the second turn as well, and so I could definitely see some merit.
Welcome, one and all, to the Midnight Rebel!
She makes that little spiderling ready to block all the boisterous hosts of the world, and so you know, that's what we're looking for.
The night is young.
Get in there. Get in there. I'm trying to block. So this is interesting if we want to go for the Kalista or just start throwing other stuff on the board. I mean, Kalista should be fairly safe if they're playing the deck in a similar vein to how we are. There's just no interactivity on it. It's just a bunch of units and Nocturnes and shit. And so like, it should be tough. He doesn't have the mana for Legionary Charge now, so don't have to worry about that. And then if he wants to just throw the Phantom Butler in front of Kalista, I think that's okay. Seems like a reasonable turn. He's gonna pop us with a Vile Feast to show us the errors of our ways, but it seems like that's the way to go. Just getting those big values. So I was hoping that we were going to get to say play Precious Pet, follow up with the Risen Mists, and next turn play Mist Wraith into Risen Mists. Is that too much though? We might prefer to just go ahead and shrink his board and then play Nocturne next turn. Kind of like this as well. This should be tough for him to have a follow-up unit here. So we aren't taking a ton of damage. And then now that we have our Kalista on board, I think we're a little bit more open to trading. All right, units, let's see what you can do. Precious Pet comes in. We'll see what he follows up with, and then we'll come at him with Nocturne. It is a space to where we could pivot, right? We don't have to play Nocturne here. We could look to just drop a Mist Wraith and then play Risen Mist this turn as well. Try to get in a spot to where we have some dead allies, but I don't think that's quite where I want to be. And this is another space similar to that previous game to where we could have looked to potentially, say, put the hook onto the Spiderling to guarantee that we get a good attack at it. Because now these attacks suck, right? I don't want to trade my Nocturne away with this stuff. But we need to be getting these attacks in. Alright. Lesson learned. I don't like that. It feels like we've messed up this Nocturne quite a few times now, and I guess missing out on the attacks isn't terrible. Oh no, I forgot we had a Hallowed, right? We could have Hallowed our Precious Pet into the Arachnoid Horror. That would have been kind of nice. All right, well, different angle it is. we're just flying by the seat of our pants here. Let's see if we can continue to win, just playing terribly. Take that Kalista flip, though. It should be problematic for him, and now we can put the Mist Wraiths onto the board and look to double up on Risen Mists next turn. He's got a Risen Mist. We've got a Risen Mist. Everybody's got one. So we'll stop there. There's no reason to add the Boisterous Host since we'll be summoning a unit up with Kalista. Enjoy. Didn't even need to hook. We gotta watch for that as well. Having the strength come in with the with the skitter. Okay. Well, not bad. If he can most certainly still get us with a Harrowing, but if he doesn't have the Harrowing, then we're in a pretty prime position here. And I would assume that with him adding Boisterous Host to the board, he doesn't have the Harrowing, right? He would want that space left over so that he could put better units down. All right, well, as it stands, he's only got one blocker for all of our fearsomes, so we'll send the squad. Mist Wraith comes back now. We got him. GG. Learning from the master. Learning from the master. Making the misplays so you don't have to. You're welcome. You're welcome. Very forgiving when you come in and just play terribly and the deck still just hard carries. All right, everybody must be trying to just aggro it real hard to make their way into Masters from Diamond 1. We've seen 2 of the mirror matches. This is our 2nd time against Pirates, 1 time against that anything, and so maybe that's what we're running ourselves into here today. All right, nice chunk of damage though. I would have been happy to take the trade. He wasn't interested, but I would have been happy. Now we're kind of stuck. Not having a play here with all of the 4-drops is pretty disaster mode. Oh, and he just doesn't attack? Interesting. Not what I was expecting. Let's just keep passing and see what happens, you know? Is that the game we're going to play today? Let's be real. We got to get these blockers down. It would be nice to have better usage out of these onlookers, but if he like just gets to open swing next turn, then we're gonna take just way too much damage. So I'll prevent the 6, right? We can block here. We can block Misfortune. Don't want to immediately give up our onlookers. Maybe we should though. I mean, we're about to Soul Cleave a Wraith Collar. We'll have plenty of space on our board. Okay. Gotta go with the flow, Zap. Oh, interesting with the Risen Mists. I think we want to save that for next turn. Right, so let's add in Mist Wraith. We can then Soul Cleave the Wraith Collar. That'll give us 2 new Wraith Collars. It'll give us 2 new Mist Wraiths. And then, you know, if the combat starts to go well for him, then we can find ourselves with a Risen Mists on the upcoming turn. I guess the bummer here, I didn't stop to think about Nox and Fervors coming in. That's a definite bummer, right? A definite bummer. Makes me a little gladder we still have the Risen Mists in the back line to do some blocking with. Okay, I wonder if he's gonna open attack on us this next turn. I mean, our life total's pretty healthy. I don't want to be coming in here and just taking like 1,000,000, but we are kind of far away from dying. Which is this, 13? Well, let's at least block Misfortune. She's going to be his only unit that can currently block a Fearsome. Do we die to that? Pretty close. Oh, we can't block? Give me that blocker. All right. All right, GG. That's tough. I thought we were about to turn the corner in that one, but at least in the sense when they play Zap, you're not guaranteed to hit that Nox and Fervor. I didn't see where in the hand it came out of. Maybe once they play Zap, we need to be a little bit more considerate of how we're soul cleaving. I mean, if we just played the other Wraith Collar just to get the units on board, or even made like a Nocturne play to potentially take down the Misfortune, it would have been a little bit safer. I don't know about you. I was just getting excited. I was definitely pumped to come in and drop the Soul Cleave, get all that shit going. But we're learning lots of lessons. I'm gonna have to play a bunch of this deck today. Get ourselves ready. I hope you at least see us playing this and you're like, wow, that should be the easiest deck in the world to play. You just put all your fearsomes on the board and make a bunch of attacks, and see us make, misplays in like 4 of the 6 games, 4 of the 7 games, and have them be fairly significant. Like, yes, we have steamrolled a lot of these games, but definitely run into some issues with the misplays, and they are pretty soul crushing. It's that thing I talk about with aggro decks and the control players of the world thinking they're all high and mighty because they have to make 1,000 decisions in every game. But the thing with that is like what I call decision weight, as to where of those 1,000 decisions, maybe one of them is actually relevant. And if you just spend all of your mana every turn and play your removal spells in order, then you've probably just do just fine. And yes, you had to make a handful of decisions in the game, but they're not that big. But if you're playing something like Pirates, you tend to have one like really super critical decision, and if you miss it and mess it up, you're probably just going to lose. And as to where those important decisions, have to be made right. And I feel like a lot of times the aggro decks of the world don't get enough credit, because you do run into a lot of those games like we had earlier, to where we completely played poorly and still just steamrolled. And I think that the Legion Rearguard decks of the world don't get enough credit, because they do have so many of those games to where you play terribly and you're still able to win. But that doesn't mean that the deck is less challenging to pilot, because it holds your hand on occasion. And so, anywho, enough of that out of the way. I'm happy enough to just continue on curve here. We can add in Wraithcaller. Next turn, I'm going to look to add in Phantom Butler Kalista. It's like, if he wants to play Rise, then fine. And if he's going to play a bunch of spells and bursts the 3/2 onto the board, then there's not a ton of reason for us to. Oh my God, we missed. There's not a ton of reason for us to open attack. If he has one relevant blocker and then the others he can play at burst speed. See? Sure. It's actually not terrible having the onlooker come back. We were sitting on this Nocturne that we couldn't really get on the board.
Grasping claws.
All right. I don't think we want to go for Nocturne. I'll go ahead and drop Kalista. So if he starts dropping runes, we at least get to level her up a little bit. And we should still be getting good attacks. I'm not going to worry about combat tricks or anything coming out of this deck. Do we even want to anymore? So if we attack, we need to get 3 fearsomes in the attack this round, right? I think I do want to just go ahead and start dropping the onlooker, dropping the precious pet. And then we can flip our Nocturne and then still have plenty of units for 2 turns from now. Right, if we just have Nocturne on the board, we can still just start dropping dudes and say, hey, you can't block. And does this deck play Wuju style? I mean, I don't think it does. So if we lose our Kalista, it kind of sucks, but I don't think we need to worry about combat tricks. I assume he's just going to block our 3 units to the right. He'll put Rise in front of Kalista, put the damage preventers in front of our 4 attackers. Surprised to see him not block with Rise. Interesting. So without him having stuff on the board, I mean, we can look to just open attack next turn, right? We can we can play the Phantom Butler Nocturne here. We can hook Rise out of combat with the Precious Pet, and then should be pretty close. He's in this spot now as well. If he plays a shard, it's going to kill off one of our small units, and that's going to flip our Kalista and give us a replacement attacker. Pretty neat. Pretty neat.
We crave control. Break our backs for it.
There you go. Rip precious pet. And so here, I think we want to put the Phantom Butler on the board, right? We have the choice of either Phantom Butler or Arachnoid Horror. And so if he has another shard, I want it to kill the Phantom Butler. It's A worse unit than the Mist Wraith, and then B, it's going to give us that Hallowed for next turn. So just try and get a little bit of a double bonus there. Okay. All right, scary stuff. Nocturne coming through. You're not blocking, bro. We'll get you right out of the way.
I alone must bear this burden.
All right, Hallowed unit dead. Could technically open with Nocturne, but too easy to have like a concussive palm and shut him out. If he's gonna start dropping concussive palms, I want to be able to shrink those. Oh, we shouldn't have played Kalista first. We're in the same space, right? Like he might want to play a rune. Like playing a rune gives him access to. Yeah. Now we lose a Mist Wraith. We messed this one up as well.
My name is Rise.
You might still be able to lethal here, but that's most certainly another spot to where we should have put the Phantom Butler on the board. Let the Phantom Butler die. We get the extra Hallowed damage. Now, if you're looking at our leftmost attacker, if it's going to be a Phantom Butler, it's only going to have Hallowed 1, which is going to be a point short of lethal. Not ideal, not ideal. All right, he's got 7 mana, though. Let's see what that does for us. We get a fresh unit out of Kalista as well. And again, not enough to stop the victory. So cool, good set of games. We can pull this up and talk about it just a little bit more. You got to get that Shellfolk deck out of the way. And, otherwise, I've been pretty happy with this. I feel like this is a quite powerful deck. We played abysmally. We played terrible today, and we're still able to have a pretty powerful win rate on the path to Masters, and so I think this should be pretty easy to carry us the rest of the way, get that final mark as far as getting that Masters rank. And so the power is here. There's a few different versions floating around. We talked about Elise a little bit. I can definitely see the argument for her, especially as we're playing Legionary Charge. Just taking away a Nocturne and having that extra copy of sorts by having the charge, kind of interesting. Some versions play Scion, which seems like a little much to me, but you see that running around as well. And nonetheless, though, regardless of the kind of extraneous things you're doing, I think at its core, this is quite powerful and quite strong. And again, it's what we're going to be taking into the open tournament today for you, and hopefully having a bit of success there. And so I liked it. I liked the things that were happening here. I didn't want to play the +2/+2 gain ephemeral thing. I was very happy with the Legionary Charges, even though we didn't use it as a combat trick. And I think our numbers here are looking pretty good. And so, good stuff there. I had fun with it. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. So this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.